are. Nicole, you good to record?
Yes.
All right, we're good. Going live.
All right.
We're good, Mr. Chair.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to our Tuesday, May the 5th, City Council meeting. I now call this meeting to order. At this time, we'll have a Pledge of Allegiance and invocation by Councilwoman Coonrod, should she desire. Madam, there you go.
If you can put the African flag up. No,
That's the only one I got handy, sorry.
thank you. You all will join me in the pledge. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag
of the United
States of America
and
and to the republic
for which it
stands, one nation,
under God,
indivisible,
with liberty and
justice
for all.
Chair, do we have any preachers in the house today? Any pastors that can lead us in prayer?
If there are any, they can raise their hand on the attendee list. I'd be happy to bring them in for prayer.
I'm not seeing any,
Yep.
Vice Chair.
All right, well, we can move the agenda.
Okay. All right. At this time, I'll entertain a motion for the minutes.
So moved.
Move to approve.
Second.
All right. We have a motion and a second. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Vice Chairman Smith,
Yes.
Councilman Oglesby,
Yes.
Councilman Mitchell,
Yes.
Councilman Ledford,
Yes.
Councilman Gilbert,
Yes.
Councilwoman Coonrod,
Yes.
Councilman Byrd,
Yes.
Councilwoman Burrs,
Yes.
Chairman Henderson.
Yes.
That's 9 yeses.
Minutes approved. Thank you. At this time, Madam Clerk, we'll take ordinances on final reading. 5A, please.
An ordinance amending ordinance number 13473, known as the fiscal year 2019-2020 operations budget ordinance, so as to appropriate $22,000 from the Department of Economic and Community Development to the Chattanooga Area Chamber of Commerce for processing small business COVID-19 coronavirus bridge grants.
Councilman Gilbert, then Councilman Oglesby.
Move to approve. Second.
We have a motion on the floor to approve with a proper second. Any questions? Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Councilwoman Burrs,
Yes.
Councilman Byrd,
Yes.
Councilwoman Coonrod,
You're muted, Councilwoman.
You're muted.
Yes.
Councilman Gilbert,
Yes.
Councilman Ledford,
Yes.
Councilman Mitchell,
Yes.
Councilman Oglesby,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Smith,
Yes.
Chairman Henderson.
Yes.
That's 9 yeses.
Okay, motion to approve carries 9-0. Before we go any further, let me mention to our attendees, if you would like to speak at the end of our council meeting, if you would go online to chattanooga.gov, click on to the city council link and register to speak. You would need to do that. Thank you. Madam Clerk, ordinance is first reading 6A, please.
An ordinance de-annexing a certain parcel adjacent to the current city limits, which is located at 2815 Military Road within the city of Chattanooga in Hamilton County, Tennessee.
Yeah.
Okay, Councilman Oglesby.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. The Pritchards and I and the city attorney's office has been in really great conversation about this request. And if Mr. Pritchard is in, I would just like to get verification from him of our discussion about the withdrawal of his request to DNX. And I just need him to confirm that, and then I'll go into making a motion, if you please, sir.
Okay, Vice Chair, would you bring in Mr. Pritchett? Mr. Pritchett, can you hear us?
Yes, this is Mr. Pritchard, William Pritchard. We received the notice about 15 minutes before this, and I haven't had even enough time to read it, so I cannot say whether I'm for it or against it.
But we would like, if you don't mind, if we could just can we push it a week so we could understand the city regulations on the property, and then if it seems like it's easy to do and we don't have to pay $4,000 to redo our plans, then we would be happy to do that.
Okay, that is great. There will not be a problem at all, Pritchards. Council, I'd like to make a motion to defer this 1 week until May the 12th.
Okay, we We have a motion on the floor to defer till May the 12th for the proper second. Do we have any questions? If not, Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Vice Chairman Smith,
Yes.
Councilman Oglesby,
Yes.
Councilman Mitchell,
Yes.
Councilman Ledford,
Yes.
Councilman Gilbert,
Yes.
Councilwoman Coonrod,
Yes.
Councilman Byrd,
You're muted, Councilman Byrd, and we need a video, please.
Yes.
Councilwoman Byrd,
Yes.
Chairman Henderson.
Yes.
That's 9 yeses.
Motion to defer carries 9-0.
Thank you, Council.
Now we'll move into resolutions, and as discussed earlier, Madam Clerk, if you would read 7A and B together, and we're going to vote on them as a package.
Right. Item A resolution authorizing the administrator for the Department of Economic and Community Development to enter into a second agreement to exercise option to renew in substantially the form attached with Rivermont Youth Athletic Association, Inc. for the use of property located on a portion of tax map number 118KA009 at 1096 Lupton Drive for an additional term of 1 year. Item B, a resolution authorizing the administrator for the Department of Economic and Community Development to enter into a second agreement to exercise option to renew in substantially the form attached with Lakeside Youth Association, Inc. for the use of property located at tax map number 129CA018 for an additional term of 1 year.
Vice Chair, we had some questions earlier in the day about this. Would you bring James Bergdahl on, please?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Bergdahl, if you can hear us, unmute.
I'm here.
You
Can you hear
there?
me?
Yes.
All right, great.
All right. Councilman, let me get over to my other screen so I can see who's got their hand raised. Councilman Mitchell and Councilman Gilbert, you still have questions for Mr. Bergdahl about these agreements?
Well, I'd just like to start with Mr. Bergdahl giving us an explanation of these type of agreements. I know we have these with several youth associations, so if Mr. Bergdahl could give us a brief explanation of these, and then let's see where the questions may go from there.
Okay. Mr. Bergdahl, if you would just give us a rundown, please.
Sure. These are renewals of existing agreements, and they're lease agreements for city-owned facilities where these nonprofit groups operate a recreational program at those sites. This is, I think, the majority of these groups have been operating a recreational opportunity at these city locations for a number of years. It's a dollar lease back to the city. They're nonprofits. It helps the city and the youth of the neighborhoods that they're in, respectively, for youth baseball and soccer, football, recreational activities.
Okay. Any follow-up, Councilman Mitchell?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. I would just like to ask, what is the plan this year as it unfolds and the seasons are on to follow with others? What's the plan this year in working with the youth associations? And secondly, what are we going to do to enforce any plans that you and the youth associations come up with?
I missed a little bit of that. I may be having connectivity issues, but basically right now we're in a holding pattern. The parks and facilities are shut down. Youth sports activities are not allowed at this time per, I think, the governor, actually, as well as the mayor. So unfortunately, they're not able to participate, but there's a lot of us aren't able to participate in our normal routine right now. So we're still maintaining the complexes, just hoping that we'll soon have an opportunity to allow sports again. Nothing's changed as far as what we're doing as far as any work to the facilities themselves, if that's what you're asking.
And if and when these activities are allowed by the governor, what's our plan to, I guess, what are we going to do to make sure the youth associations have plans, and then what are we going to do to make sure they stick to those plans?
I'm not sure I'm following the question. Once we start getting word that these activities will allowed to take place, I'm sure they have a plan ready to go to make their seasons happen. We have not really gotten to that point yet, but I've been communicating with the youth associations as well as our own recreation folks and YFD and several others in the area, just to kind of keep us all on the same page. And like I said, we're really in a holding pattern at the moment.
Councilman Mitchell, can I take a stab at what I think you're asking, Mr. Bergdahl?
Please.
Mr. Bergdahl, I guess, what I understand Councilman Mitchell's question may be, would we need to amend our agreement with these recreation associations to make sure that there's some language in there that they will follow whatever guidelines comes down from the mayor or the governor, so that we understand that they know what guidelines they're supposed to follow? Is that sort of along the lines, Councilman Mitchell, that you was referring to?
Yes.
So would we be doing any revisions to these agreements, Mr. Bergdahl, to make sure that we know these recreation centers have an understanding of what is required of them in following protocol?
Without knowing all the exact language in it, I don't believe so. We can certainly review. This is a mutual agreement for the city and for these groups, and I don't think there's anything in there that would not allow them to, or not give the city, I guess, some sort of, their city properties. That's the bottom line. They're leasing them from the city. So,
Vice Chair, would you bring in Ms. Sullivan? Maybe she can help shed a little light on this, please.
Yes, sir.
Ms. Sullivan?
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
What about amending our agreements to make sure that we understand these rec centers are going to follow protocol and the way their operations?
Yeah, I think that we're covered, honestly, as James was saying, and Phil could back me up on that. But I think that we have that the youth associations would follow all applicable laws. And these would be applicable laws that govern their activities. But if we want to have a COVID specific clause added, I'm sure that the youth associations would be more than happy to do that, and we could work on that over the week. And I don't think that there is. I'll defer to James or Richard Beeland if there is a reason that we couldn't wait a week on these, just to add that kind of clause. If I could get any kind of it's hard on this side to get info, but it looks like Phil is raising his finger towards me.
Yeah. Mr. Noblett, can you add some enlightenment to this?
Raising his finger. And not that finger. All right, we're good. I was just simply going to tell you this is just a one-page document here right now for extending the terms. The original agreement was done back in 2016, well before we had any COVID type issues. And if we need to add some type of COVID clause here that there would not be any restart until it has been determined to be okay by the governor or by the mayor, we can clearly add that.
Councilman Mitchell, would that give you a better level of comfort?
Yeah, I know where I want to go with this. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Councilman Gilbert.
I'm good.
You're good? Okay.
Good.
Is there any more questions for Mr. Bergdahl or Mrs. Sullivan? Okay. Council, what's your pleasure?
Move to defer.
Second.
Okay. Let's see. We read both of these into the minutes.
Two items. Yeah, two.
We read two, so we're going to defer both items. Is that correct, Councilman? Is that your intention?
That's my move.
Okay.
Yes.
For how long? Are we deferring for 1 week?
We're deferring until we see something that has something about COVID in it.
Sure.
Ms. Sullivan's gone. You want
Want her
to push
back?
it out? Let's push it out 2 weeks.
2
How's
weeks.
that?
2 weeks would be better.
That'd be fine
Okay.
with me, Mr. Chair.
Okay, we'll defer till May the 19th then. How's that, Councilman?
That'd be fine.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor to defer both of these items till May the 19th. Did I have a second
Second.
on that? Okay, we have a second. Any questions? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilwoman Byrd,
Yes.
Councilman Byrd,
Yes.
Councilwoman Coonrod,
Yes.
Councilman Gilbert,
Yes.
Councilman Ledford,
Yes.
Councilman Mitchell,
Yes.
Councilman Oglesby,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Smith,
Yes.
Chairman Henderson.
Yes.
That's 9 yeses.
Motion to defer till May the 19th carries with 9-0. Madam Clerk, C, please.
A resolution authorizing the administrator for the Department of Economic and Community Development to enter into an independent contractor services standard form agreement in substantially the form attached with CBRE Inc. for specified real estate services for a term of 1 year with the option to renew for 2 additional terms of 1 year each.
Councilwoman Coonrod?
Thank you, Chair. I honestly didn't see anything in conversation or read revealing, and after reading over it carefully of the why it wasn't presented clearly to me as to why now we're needing to get into an independent contract. Because we've been doing it on our own now, purchasing property and leasing and all of that kind of stuff. But now all of a sudden we are wanting to enter into this independent contract. I just think it's not needed right now from what was presented and from what I viewed on the hyperlinks for additional information, and where he stated that the fire department, it was a need at that time, but now the fire department is no longer in need of purchasing property. But we've seen time and time again where the city has purchased property without an independent contract, or else they just haven't presented it before. So I'm making a motion to deny.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor to deny. Do I have a second? Do I have a second on the motion to deny? Motion to deny fails for lack of a second. Council, let's see, let me switch gears here. Council, do I have another motion on the floor? Do I have a motion on the floor? I hear at this time no motion to be made. Mr. Noble, it's my understanding that this item fails for lack of a motion.
Yes, sir.
Yes. That's correct.
Motion, okay.
Well, y'all should have just seconded the denial. That's stupid. Well, okay. That's so.
Item fails for lack of a motion. No action taken. 7D, Madam Clerk.
A resolution authorizing the administrators for the Department of Economic and Community Development and Public Works to enter into a joint partnership agreement with the Community Foundation of Greater Chattanooga for project management services provided by the Public Works Department and the Public Art Division, and the receipt of donations to support the site work for the Ed Johnson Memorial portion of the Walnut Plaza project.
Okay, who had their hand up first? I want to make sure I get.
Councilman Oglesby and then Councilman Gilbert, Mr.
Okay.
Chair.
Oh, Councilman Oglesby, then Gilbert.
Move to approve.
Question also.
Hold on, did you second it? You sort of
Yeah,
broke up.
I seconded, but I got a question.
Okay, so we have a motion on the floor to approve with a second. Now we have questions on the floor. Councilman Gilbert.
I just want to make sure on record that when they're going to start on this and what's the projection of finishing. Council asked that question a while back.
Let's see. Let me see who's got their hand up. Who's got their hand up, Vice Chair?
Chief Hayes is in, Chairman.
Would you bring, okay, I see him. Chief?
Good evening. Thank you very much. My understanding, and I'll be happy to let my Capitol planning staff corroborate me that the plan is to begin work on this as soon as next month. Optimistic time frame for finishing would be February, spring of 2021. Could stretch a little bit farther into the spring or summer, depending on weather delays, but we'll get to work on it as soon as we can.
Yeah. Mr. Chair, that was my understanding from the presentation that they gave. It's supposed to start June 8th, and as Chief said, should finish sometime in February or shortly thereafter.
Okay. All right, very well. Councilwoman Coonrod.
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to say before I, cast my vote for it is that what this means, Ed Johnson, this memorial and this agreement and everything finally moving forward for the Black community. Not just the Black community, but overall the city of Chattanooga, because the times that we were in then, and we still seeing now some of those exact same things that still happening currently with our judicial system. We're gonna see some of the stuff revealed even in our disparity studies and so on and so forth. So Ed Johnson, he is the second Black person that was lynched at the Walnut Street Bridge. The very first Black male was Alfred Blunt. 94 years later, it took for Judge Myers, 94 years later now, for him to overturn the conviction of Ed Johnson, because he was convicted at that time of rape of a white woman. But we still dealing with those same things, right? That Walnut Street Bridge means so much more than just it being a pedestrian bridge when it comes to the city of Chattanooga. It's time for us to embrace that and share that story even more, not just at that site. We need to tell the history of how Black people have been affected here in Chattanooga. So thank you guys for getting it back on our agenda to push forward. It really means a lot to me because I worked on this with a lot of individuals prior to me being elected to council. It took a lot of years, and now we finally at this point. So I'm really appreciative of your efforts. Thank you.
Okay, let's see. Councilman Oglesby, you another comment, or is that?
No, that's the same hand. I'm good, Council. I'm calling the vote.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor to approve with a proper second. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilwoman Burrs?
Yes.
Councilman Byrd?
Yes.
Councilwoman Coonrod?
Yes.
Councilman Gilbert?
Yes.
Councilman Ledford?
Yes.
Councilman Mitchell?
Yes.
Councilman Oglesby?
Yes.
Vice Chairman Smith?
Yes.
Chairman Henderson?
Yes.
That's 9 yeses.
Motion to approve carries with 9 yeses. All right, Council 7E into Finance, Madam Clerk.
A resolution to confirm the mayor's appointment of Kate Farmer as city treasurer.
Councilwoman Burrs.
Move approval, sir.
Second.
We have a motion on the floor to approve with a second. Any questions? And we did meet Ms. Farmer earlier at our 3:30 agenda. All right, roll call, Madam Clerk.
Vice Chairman Smith?
Yes.
Councilman Oglesby?
Yes.
Councilman Mitchell?
Yes.
Councilman Ledford?
Yes.
Councilman Gilbert?
Yes.
Councilwoman Coonrod?
Yes.
Councilman Byrd?
Yes.
Councilwoman Burrs?
Yes.
Chairman Henderson?
Yes.
That's 9 yeses.
Motion carries. All right, welcome aboard, Ms. Farmer. 7F, Madam Clerk.
A resolution authorizing the Chattanooga Police Department to apply for and, if awarded, to accept the fiscal year 2020 Local Law Enforcement Crime Gun Intelligence Center Integration Initiative Competitive Grant for 36 months beginning October 2020 through October 2023 in the amount of $700,000.
What's the pleasure of the council? Councilwoman Burrs.
Move approval.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor to approve with a second. Any questions? If not, Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Councilwoman Burrs?
Yes.
Councilman Byrd?
Yes.
Councilwoman Coonrod?
Yes.
Councilman Gilbert?
Yes.
Councilman Ledford?
Yes.
Councilman Mitchell?
Yes.
Councilman Oglesby?
Yes.
Vice Chairman Smith?
Yes.
Chairman Henderson?
Yes.
That's 9 yeses.
Motion to approve carries 9-0. 7G, please.
A resolution authorizing the administrator for the Department of Public Works to award contract number R19007-201 to Thomas Brothers Construction Company of Hickson, Tennessee, Walnut Street Plaza, in the amount of $2,200,652.50 plus a contingency amount of $106,000 for a contract amount of $2,306,652.50.
Okay, Councilman Oglesby.
With the pleasure of the council, I move to approve.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion to approve with a second. Any questions? If not, Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Vice Chairman Smith,
Yes.
Councilman Oglesby,
Yes.
Councilman Mitchell,
Yes.
Councilman Ledford,
Yes.
Councilman Gilbert,
Yes.
Councilwoman Coonrod,
Yes.
Councilman Byrd,
Yes.
Councilwoman Burrs,
Yes.
Chairman Henderson,
Yes,
9 yeses.
motion carries. Now with the council's approval, let's read H and I together, and we'll vote on those as a package. Madam Clerk, if you would.
All right. Item H, a resolution to amend
Oh,
resolution.
hold on one second.
Yes.
Councilman Mitchell, I see your hand. Is that in regard to?
I just raised it for these next ones.
For these now? Okay, all right, very good. Go ahead, Madam Clerk.
Item H, a resolution to amend resolution number 30145 to correct the business name from Waterways, formerly Caribbean Seas, Inc., Caribbean Student Environmental Alliance, to Waterways, DBA, Caribbean Sea. Item I, a resolution authorizing the administrator for the Department of Public Works to execute a consent to assignment of all purchase order for vendor number 862397, DACA Specialty Services to Mansfield Industrial relative to purchase order number 546382 for painting services.
Councilman Mitchell.
Move approval.
Do I have, okay, we have a motion on the floor to approve with a second on items H and I. Madam Clerk, if there's no questions, roll call, please.
Councilwoman Burrs,
Yes.
Councilman Byrd,
Yes.
Councilwoman Coonrod,
Yes.
Councilman Gilbert,
Yes.
Councilman Ledford,
Yes.
Councilman Mitchell,
Yes.
Councilman Oglesby,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Smith,
Yes.
Chairman Henderson.
Yes,
That's 9 yeses.
motion carries to approve. This time we'll move into purchases. Vice Chair, would you bring in Mr. Sammons, please?
Yes, sir.
Good evening, Mr. Sammons.
Good evening, Mr. Chair and
You
members
want to
of the
spend,
council.
are you wanting to spend some money tonight?
I think so. We have several items for your review and approval this evening, all from the Department of Public Works. In addition, we also have, for information purposes, to bring to your attention a couple of emergency purchases. Starting with the new purchases with the Fleet Management Division, we have single axle dump trucks being awarded to Lee Smith Incorporated for an annual cost estimate of $377,502. Next, we have Ford F-550 Crew Cab 4x4 with flatbed body being awarded to Ford of Murfreesboro for an annual cost estimate of $106,726. Next, we have from the Waste Resource Division, ladder climbing safety equipment being awarded to Air Gas LLC for an annual cost estimate of $200,000. Next, road plating services being awarded to T&T Concrete for an increase of $20,000 for a total estimated annual spend of $46,500. Again, from Fleet Management Division, we have bucket trucks being awarded to Lee Smith Incorporated for $415,000 as the annual cost estimate. Also from Fleet Management, we have police vehicle lighting and equipment installation being awarded to On Duty Depot Incorporated for an annual cost estimate of $325,000. The last item we have is 36-inch Zurich knife gate valves being awarded to Piping Supply Company for an annual cost estimate of $182,000. And that completes the new purchases for this evening.
Okay, Councilman Gilbert, I see your hand.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Chair. Mr. Tony, on the PO 553923, did we get information on that?
I think the administrator had sent me a note indicating he had sent that information to you.
Okay. I don't want to hold a contract up because I know that we need it. I just want to make sure that we actually get it done, because in the past, they was not fulfilling brand new cars and getting them refitted to be used. So I just want to make sure that happened this time.
All right.
Council, what's your pleasure?
Move approval.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor to approve with a second. Any questions about our purchasing? If not, Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Vice Chairman Smith,
Yes.
Councilman Oglesby,
Yes.
Councilman Mitchell,
Yes.
Councilman Ledford,
Yes.
Councilman Gilbert,
Yes.
Councilwoman Coonrod,
Yes.
Councilman Byrd,
Yes.
Councilwoman Burrs,
Yes.
Chairman Henderson.
Yes.
That's 9 yeses.
Okay. Motion carries 9-0.
Mr. Chair, we have, for your information purposes, 2 emergency purchases under the mayor's emergency declaration. Both items were related to the tornado disaster. First being emergency debris removal being awarded to Crowder Gulf for an estimated amount of $6 million. 3 quotes were obtained for this item until contract sealed bids are complete. Also, we had emergency debris removal monitoring being awarded to Tetra Tech. Also, 3 quotes for emergency contract were obtained until we received sealed bids to complete that process as well. That estimated amount is $600,000. And that concludes the emergency purchases.
Thank you, Mr. Salmons, for that report. Councilman Gilbert, is that a previous hand or you have a question?
Oh, just a follow-up. Justin sent me the information. He sent me on the South Chickamauga Creek situation, but not on the fleet. So can they send me that by next week?
I'll get with them. I'm sure we can have that information for you with no problem.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
You good, Councilman?
Yeah.
All right. Any more questions for Mr. Salmons? Councilwoman Coonrod?
Thank you, Chair. Mr. Salmons, just for a matter of record, the money that we're spending for the emergency debris cleanup and the monitoring, where is that the funds coming from? Is that the relief funding? Is it we already got it in our budget that we're gonna use? Are we waiting on money to come in to do it, or where is it coming from?
What we're doing is we had to do an emergency purchase to start the work for cleanup, to clear our roads, to start removing the debris from the locations of the area that were devastated. And we had to do an emergency purchase to initiate that work as quickly as possible. But to be in compliance with FEMA guidelines, we have a time period in which we have to put an RFP out for those services. So the emergency purchase was to get work started, and to be in compliance, we are completing the work needed to have the RFP bid appropriately, so we could be reimbursed by FEMA.
Thank you for explaining that.
No problem.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Salmons.
Thank you.
Okay, now we move into other business. Does any council person have other business they wish to share with the council? Councilwoman Coonrod, is that a hand for other business or is that previous?
But yeah, I was gonna ask you if Mr. Hayes can share his update about the testing with the other business.
I was gonna let the council share their other business before I bring him on. Anyone else with other business? If not, Vice Chair, would you bring Chief Hayes up, please? And you can dismiss Mr. Salmons. Mr. Hayes, can you hear us?
Yes, thank you very much. Good evening. Just very briefly wanted to comment on a couple of developments that came up in our joint task force meeting earlier today. There has been a subcommittee of that, a subgroup that's been working specifically on the issue of what we call community testing for several weeks, and have really made a lot of great strides in figuring out ways that we can reach some marginalized populations. We've got specific plans that are underway to reach our African-American communities, our Latinx communities, senior living and congregate towers, and some other populations that may not have reliable transportation. And this is being accomplished through a really great partnership with the state of Tennessee and the National Guard, the Hamilton County Health Department, obviously, and Karen McReynolds and Candy Johnson in our office have done just incredible work on this. So I wanted to make you aware of that. The specifics of when all this is going to start to occur are still in formation. I'll be happy to give another update either next week or between now and then as I've got it. But just wanted to let you all know that this is very much on our minds. The ramp up in testing that we've seen courtesy of the state and the health department is terrific, and providing us with a lot of really good data about what is happening as it relates to the coronavirus. But we're going to make sure we're doing our part to reach those neighborhoods and those communities that need a little extra effort to make sure that they're getting the services that they need. You heard, and I'm happy to answer questions about that as well. A little earlier today, you got a report. There was some discussion about the grant program, which you all have provided some additional supplemental funding to. Just wanted to say thank you again for your support with that. Your quick action has helped a lot of businesses. We're certainly willing to learn and adapt and make sure that we're improving on all of that as we move forward. Very, very grateful for your support with that, and particularly your help in getting the word out about all that once the funds were allocated. We're continuing to do what we can. This is largely thanks to Jermaine Freeman and Brooke Satterfield. I think Brooke shared with you some updates about this late last week, that we're doing a series of webinars, as many as we can, to reach different parts of our business community that are interested in reopening. So today there was one about barbershops and close contact businesses. Yesterday there was one about retail. We have some coming up related to childcare centers and gyms. We'll just do as many as we can, as often as we can, for those businesses that are looking for information, not from us necessarily, but from other members of their other peers in their business, in their industries, about what they need to do to get open and stay open safely. So we're doing whatever we can to support the health department and the state as we transition now into having some restrictions lifted. We want to make sure people are certainly continuing to support our small business community, but to do so safely and in a way that takes care of employees. So just wanted to make sure you all are aware of that. Happy to give more information or make sure that you all have the links and the resources you need to keep sharing that with your constituents. That's all I need to share. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any questions, Councilwoman Coonrod?
Thank you, Chair. I don't have any questions. Thank you so much, Carrie and Karen and Candy and everybody that's been working on this. I've been privileged to a couple of Zoom meetings about it with Councilman Byrd as well. But I like the focus. But what was revealed to me when the 2020 tornado hit, it exposed a lot of impoverished areas in the white community that we refuse to talk about, right? It's not just Black people need to get tested that, don't have access. It's a lot of white people that was in that area or that tornado who don't have access to testing. And I'm probably the only one who gonna say it and be honest about it and be real. It's a lot of white people that's, their health isn't all that great as well. But we always fall back to say it's only Black people that's in need of these things, and that's simply not true. But I do understand the messaging. I don't think, the National Guard would need to be a part of the effort as far as coming to the Black community because of the fear and the stigma that comes behind all of that. But I would love for the message to be a more inclusive, so everybody, no matter wherever the testing site is, that everybody is getting tested, because we have And our black, what people keep deeming as black communities, and what I see, they're not all black anymore. They're not 100% black. They're not. East Dale is a mix. It's getting mixer every day. That East Chattanooga area, that Avondale, Highland Park, all those areas that we're relying on data from 10 years ago are changing completely. I got 3 trailer parks, white people only, in my district. So I want to make sure that those people are, somebody is getting the word going to them, to the trailer park, and saying, hey, I need you to get tested, just like we're going to the west side and everywhere else, because their lives are just as important as our lives are. Everybody's lives matter to me at this point. And I say that because my grandmother and people on that side, they're biracial. They're black and white. So it's my due diligence to make sure that I represent everybody. And I can't leave anybody out with this testing process. But I do thank you for putting black people on the forefront about it. I mean, it's very important, but I want to make sure that everybody understands. Well, as far as my district, I need everybody to get tested. If you have any symptoms or been exposed, please get tested.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Councilman Gilbert.
Yeah, quick question for Hayes. I know we're looking at testing people, which is good, but we are telling them that once we test you, if you get exposed the next following week, you can still have a problem of virus. Are we kind of telling them that too as we test them?
Yes, sir.
I appreciate it. Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions for Carrie Hayes? Chief, I see no questions for you. You want to take this opportunity to exit left?
Thank you, sir. Appreciate y'all.
Okay.
I noticed you used left.
No, I'm not going there. Any other business that needs to come before the council at this time? Okay, committee reports. Councilwoman Burrs.
No reports, sir.
Let's see, I'm just going, Councilman Ledford.
No reports, sir.
Councilman Gilbert.
No report.
Councilman Mitchell.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We'll have Public Works and Transportation Committee meeting next week after agenda session.
Okay. Councilman Smith.
No report, Mr. Chair.
Councilman Oglesby.
We will be having an Economic and Community Development Committee meeting next week, and we will be talking about CDBG funding proposals.
Okay. Was there something else you were going to report on tonight as well on committee reports?
If you were referring to short-term vacation rentals, we tentatively going to have one May the 19th.
Okay.
Between now and then, I wanted to make sure that we had enough information so when we have that committee meeting, all minds can be clear and get our questions answered.
Thank you,
so
sir.
we can put that on there for May 19th.
May 19th.
Short-term vacation rental. Yes, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Councilman Byrd?
No report at this time. We are awaiting a date for a public safety committee, and we are awaiting that date, and we'll be in touch soon.
Thank you, sir. Councilwoman Coonrod?
No reports.
Okay. Councilman, Vice Chair, did anybody go online and register to speak?
Yes, sir. Mr. David Toulis has registered at this time.
Okay, let's, Attorney, we'll take this time to recognize persons wishing to address the council. Would you read the council rules for addressing the council, please?
Yes, sir. Based upon this being an electronic meeting, our requirement is being met by the Governor's Rule 16, which is in effect through May 18, 2020 at this point. And for any public comments at the end of the council meeting, the clerk, the chair, will recognize members of the public who wish to address the council. Each speaker wishing to address them can be recognized only after the speaker has provided identification, including the speaker's name, address, council district of residence, and no person can have more than 3 minutes to speak. You can address the council only upon matters within their legislative and quasi-judicial authority of the council, and not upon matters that are under the authority of other governmental bodies or agencies. You can't use vulgar, obscene language, or use the floor to personally attack or personally denigrate others, and have to address the comments of the council as a whole and not towards any individual member. So please go ahead, Mr. Tullis, at this time.
All right, just a moment. Mr. Tullis would raise his hand. We will bring him into the meeting.
Well,
I'm not seeing him.
Mr. Tullis, if you're still with us, if you'd like to speak, would you raise your hand, sir?
There he is, Mr. Chair. One moment, please.
Okay. All right, Mr. Tullis, if you would unmute your mic. Are you with us?
Yes, thank you very much.
All
Can you
right.
hear me?
I can hear you. Vice Chair, would you put 3 minutes up on the screen, please?
Yes, sir.
1 second, Mr. Tullis.
Ready to go.
You may begin.
Yes, thank you. I'm speaking to you about the notice I gave to you by email on April the 15th. And it is one given in my insisting on the rights of the people to be free from warrantless arrest in the Bill of Rights. That's Section 7. And the topic of my letter and the notice itself, which runs at 9 pages of discussion of the statute, focuses on 47-103. It's called grounds for arrest by officer without a warrant. And I'd like just to briefly to explain why it's important. It deals the issue. The issue is, what is a public offense in practice? And the problem that I'm addressing is that public offense has been redefined in practice and by use in the lower courts, though not in the appellate courts. The definition of public offense is maintained, and I'm seeking to defend the proper definition of public offense to reduce warrantless arrests, particularly of minorities and the poor and immigrants. So the Constitution gives us a right to be free from warrantless arrest, where there's a ban on being arrested without a warrant, but there are exceptions, and these have been written by the General Assembly. And the exceptions to the ban in the Constitution are suicide, domestic abuse, traffic accidents in cases of DUI and flight, and stalking. Those are the enumerated exceptions. The officer does not have to have a warrant to make an arrest there. And then outside the enumerated list in the exceptions law are felonies and then what are called public offenses. Now, public offenses are said to be, they are in the nature of a breach of the peace. Now, what has happened, that the city and the police are enforcing the law as if public offense is a broad meaning, and Lori Miller, the chief magistrate, insisted that public offense means any crime. However, that is not correct. The courts have held that public offense has a narrower meaning, and a public offense is in the nature of let's say kind of a scandal. The public offense is something that has a public face. It is in the nature of a breach of the peace, and that's what the statute says. An officer may arrest a person without a warrant for a public offense committed or a breach of the peace threatened in the officer's presence. So what I've done is I've put the city on notice about the statute and the meaning, and invited the city attorney to respond with a correction if it is in fact an erroneous interpretation. But I've been pretty careful about this and read the cases and just urged the city to protect the people from warrantless arrest when there is a great inconvenience that comes with the existence of that right. The officer has to go to the magistrate first, get the warrant, and then go back and arrest the person. Arrest warrants are forward-looking, and that law needs to be protected and honored, sir and ma'am.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Tullis.
Thank you.
All right. Vice Chair?
Yes, sir.
Anyone else registered that's?
No, sir.
No, sir. With that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Okay, we're adjourned.
Thank you, everyone.
Also, we'll see you next week.
Yeah.
All right.